Well, here we are in a most auspicious time. Today is the first Sunday of Advent, which is a time in the Christian church where everybody decides to draw aside for a little bit from now until Christmas and Christmas Day and ponder and contemplate and be still a bit more. And, in the past they would go into a little bit of fasting too, which wouldn't be a bad thing at all, actually. Don't know about you, but sounds good to me. And also we're in Hanukkah. First night of Hanukkah began the night before Thanksgiving, and so it's a very special and auspicious time, and everybody is pondering and contemplating a greater way of being and a higher way of living our lives. And so we're moving ahead with this book of Ernest Holmes called The Art of Living, which was originally called this thing called Life. And on the first page of chapter 7, the first sentence is, we do not have to grow old. We do not have to grow old. And so it just so happens that that's what the chapter is for this day, and we're going to look at that and see what that means for you and for me. He says, there is this psychosomatic thing that goes on. There is this direct connection between the mind and the body. And when you and I understand it, when you and I are in unison with it, he says, on that day, we can know that we need never grow old. And indeed, for those of us who really get it and understand how it all works, he said, we could stay on this plane, on this planet, for an indefinite length of time if we would understand that connection. It's not as if it's not as if our spirit is here and our body is there. It's all rolled up into one thing. It's all very interrelated. And what goes on in consciousness affects what goes on in the body. And so what then, he says, is it that grows old? Well, it's certainly not consciousness. Consciousness never grows old. Consciousness is eternal. And that consciousness that is eternal and ever young in eternal springtime is the consciousness that you use and that I use. And he says, why is it, he says, that mind cannot grow old? He says, the mind, consciousness cannot grow old because there's only the one mind. There's only the one mind. It's the eternal mind. It's the infinite mind. It's the almighty mind. And you and I are an essential aspect of it, a very important, unique, individualized expression of it. Consequently, if we're all engaged in the one mind and that mind never grows old, you and I can actually learn how to direct that mind, direct consciousness toward that understanding that life is indeed this eternal thing that you and I are living. We are living our eternal life now. And that eternal life can be great. It can be good. It can be grand. It can be full of vim and vigor and zest and youthfulness. He said we can live in an eternal springtime once we understand that you and I are the master of our minds. We are the master of our consciousness. And as such, we understand and know that thought rules our world. And if we master our thought wisely and well, we can indeed provide ourselves with whatever good we so desire, but especially in this thing called youthfulness. He's pondering on that, this particular chapter. And he says that really what makes us grow old are old thoughts. Old thoughts make us grow old. Old feelings make us grow old. And of course, it's a well-known and established fact, he points out in the chapter, that all our negation, all our negativity, and all our misuse of this thing called mind, the law of mind, the power within us, the misuse of that causes all kinds of disruptions and hardships in our lives, including this thing called aging. But he says we buy into this thing called aging. Of course we do, much more so now than ever before, and certainly in his time. I mean, everything that's on the television is telling us we need this pill, this potion, this lotion, this for this and this for that, and all the rest of it, and those wrinkles and so on and so forth. This is what you need. Now, if you and I were to spend half of the time researching consciousness and how it works as we spend on the latest pill, potion, and lotion to keep us strong and vital and energetic and young and so on, whether we splash it on or rub it on or jump up and down to get it off or whatever that is. You know, I mean, really think about it. If we took seriously what we're studying, what we're hearing, what we're reading, and invested a tiny bit of the time in understanding that, we would be far healthier, we'd be far more youthful, we'd be far more wonderful in every way. But no, we think we're going to get everything we need out there in the marketplace, and it's going to take care of us. Well, how many hundreds of dollars and thousands of dollars have people spent on trying to stay young? I mean, any woman will tell you, look at her bill at the end of the year just for taking care of her hair. That's one thing. One thing. It would be shocking to add it all up. Now, I know whatever you guys do, you have the same challenge. And there are all kinds of cosmetics now for men too. My father would be rolling around his grave laughing at the whole idea of it all, I'm sure. But that's how we are. I mean, that's how gullible we are. Oh yeah, it does. I mean, I stood in Chicago once with a young fellow and a young girl, and they were selling this great magic cream, you know, and he wanted $250 for this bottle of cream that was going to take away these little, you know, things around your eyes and so on, absolutely guaranteed. And I laughed at him. I said, you really seriously think that I or anybody else would give you $250 for what's in that bottle? Let me tell you what I could do with $250. And then after I'd given him this diatribe, he says, oh, you sound just like my mother. So, you know, I think I went away with the bottle of stuff for $25 in the end. I just felt sorry for the fella having spent so much time trying to sell me this. I said, yeah, that's what I'll give you. And I was only giving it to him so that he'd get a sale that day. Did I believe that that was going to work as instantly as I was told? Of course I didn't. But yet there's something in you that says, what if? You know, what if? I think I left it so long, I ended up, I think, rubbing it on my leg or something. I was going to put it near my face. And that's how we are. And Ernest Holmes says, oh, for heaven's sakes, get a grip. Get a grip on this thing called ageism and stop buying into it. You do not have to grow old. Mature, yes, but you do not have to grow old, and neither do I. And it is so true. What you expect, you experience. And the problem with ageism is that we think that every day of our lives we're growing older. Every day of our lives we are growing older. And yet there is the eternal presence, the eternal spirit, the eternal goodness of the Creator that wants to shower us with all kinds of blessings and favors within us that we never turn to at all. That's a spigot we don't turn on. That's the life force, that's the power, that's the energy, that's the presence that you and I can indeed turn to and benefit from if we get into that relationship of faith and trust in that power within us to take care of business. I mean, they did a study in Ernest Holmes' time on 400 of the world's greatest minds that ever lived. And it was discovered that most of them achieved their highest goals at an average age of about 50, and some into their 70s and some into their 80s. So he said, this business of thinking that after 7 years of age, your capacity to learn has gone downhill is nonsense. Because we always think that as a child, that's when you're most, in some ways it's the truth, most vital and most able to focus sufficiently and learn the best. He said no, they did also research with regard to older men and younger men. Now in those days, we're talking about this was in 1943, this book was written. And so it would be men, it wouldn't be women. They did the research on, and they found that in the workplace that older men were discovered to be far more valuable than the younger counterparts because of their vast experience and the body of knowledge that they had behind them. And not only that, although they allowed the mind processes to slow down, they became more accurate in their older years. And so there's all kinds of studies that will prove everything and anything you want to find a study to prove out there. But which of them are you going to hone in on, you see? And you've got to hone in on what bodes well with you, what works well for you. And, you know, Michelangelo said at the age of 92, I'm still just learning. I'm still just learning, long after the Sistine Chapel, etc. I'm still just learning at 92. And Picasso said it takes, in his 90s, he says, it takes this long to be able to paint again like a child. Like a child in his 90s. And so the age in the past, in history, the average age of a lifespan was 20 years of age in history. In Ernest Holmes' day, in 1943, the average lifespan was 62 for men and 64 for women. Well, now we think that's a very young age. We have people living well into their hundreds and living well into their hundreds. And that's why Ernest Holmes can say, the day will come when we can hang around here for as long as we choose to hang around. If we capture the potency and the power of consciousness, of thought, and if we use it to our good. There's no reason any one of us cannot get up in any day and say, today, I am stronger, I am healthier, I am more youthful than ever before. And state it, and feel it, and know it, and mean it. And it doesn't matter if you're just creaking along with one wheel on your wagon. If you keep stating that, if you allow yourself to feel it, if you keep knowing it, the day will come when those four wheels will be back up and running beautifully. Absolutely, but then you have to try it out and take no one's word for it. Just test it yourself. But it takes time. It's a process. It takes energy. In the beginning, it's a little tedious. Yes, it is. It's a little tedious, like anything you're learning. In the beginning, it's a little tedious. And when you're redirecting your mind, which is what all of us have to do, retraining our minds, which is what we all have to do, because we've allowed an awful lot of that ageism to creep in, an awful lot of other negativity to creep in too. And it just something does not bode right with me. And I hear people say, well, at my age, you can expect. No, at your age, you can expect any good thing. Well, what do you expect at my age? Well, that's a good question for you to ask yourself, because you're the only one that can tell yourself what to expect. So Ernest Holmes says, stop looking ahead into a future of old age. He says, look ahead into eternal youth. Those are his words. Look ahead into eternal youth. And I'm sure that Ernest Holmes hung around for as long as he wanted to. He made his transition at 73 years of age, but I think at that stage he decided, I have enough of this, I'm out of here, I'm on to something bigger and better. I really do. I mean, he sat down in his chair one day after in his meditation, and off he went, you know. His wife had gone 5 years or so before him, and he really missed his wife and so on and so forth. He had a great, good life. He enjoyed it all. Great things happened and so forth. I'm sure he wanted a bigger project, and off he went. So it's up to you how old you are. Now, we say all the time, I'm as old as I feel. Well, what way are you going to feel? You can feel anything you want to feel at any age you arrive at. You can feel younger than the age on a piece of paper, or you can feel far older than your age on a piece of paper. Age is an attitude. Age is an attitude. Now, every day can be resurrection day for you and for me. Every day we can say to ourselves, you know, Tom, Sheila, Mary, come forth out of that tomb of feeling this and feeling that and judging this and judging that as not enough, whatever it is. Come forth out into a new day that's here especially for you so that you can be full of the vim and the vigor and the zest of life and living. Because you can. It's your consciousness that decides it. It's your thinking that decides it. It's your feeling that decides it, and nothing else. The power is within you. And Ernest Holmes says, at the end of the day, the only thing that matters is that our living be 100% alive. That in our living we are 100% alive, and that we move through each day full of enthusiasm, joy, energy, and power. And throughout all of his writings, you're going to hear those words cropping up. Enthusiasm, joy, energy, power, because it's given to you to be able to do that. Now, you may wake up in the morning and decide, oh, I'm a creaky, reeky, whatever it is I've decided to be today. I don't even know if I can get out of the bed without owning and ouching and doing all of that. Or you can just whip off the blankets and get on out and say, this is a great good day, and I am going to be that eternal youthfulness in it, stronger than ever, healthier than ever, more open and receptive to my good than ever, because I can. And the reason why I can is because I am the master of my mind. I am the captain of my soul. I get to decide how my day is going to be, and nobody or nothing else does, because that's what I have decided. And again, you may just be out of the bed when you bash your toe against something and you go, ouch, and the tendency is to go down. No, you bring yourself back up again. God doesn't ouch, and neither do I. And you get on with it. You get on with it. And you may have to do that every minute of one day until you really get it. You may have to keep recommitting and recommitting and recommitting to changing this mind, this thinking. Now, we always point to the head for thinking, but it's only symbology, because your thinking is from here right down to here, down to here. You think with all of yourself, your whole self. So there's a lot going on when you're thinking, and there's a lot being affected when you're thinking. And what's affected mostly is the way you're going to feel. And as you think, so you feel. And as you think and feel, so you behave. So what is it going to be for you? For the rest of your life, how are you going to live? For the rest of your life, how are you going to live? What are you going to decide? Are you going to be on the defeatist side, the negative side of things? Are you going to change that, turn that around, and decide to make your life one long great affirmation? And only affirm what you want to have in your life. Only talk about what you want in your life. Only think about what you want in your life. Only feel about what you want in your life. And let me tell you, if you do that, if you manage that, that will show up in your life in bunches, in gobs. Absolutely. You'll amaze yourself. But you have to take charge. You have to be the thinker in your own life, not somebody else. Stop letting everybody else make up your mind for you. You would be amazed at how much you let other people make up your mind. You would be amazed. We started that when we were infants. We were in the kindergarten. Some teacher said, oh, I don't think she's very good at math. Well, 4 years of age, I'm a failure already, I'm useless at math. And carry that through for the rest of our lives. We do. Because we always latch on to the negative. The negative takes more energy the negative takes in your thinking. And it drains you, and it makes you heavy, and it weighs you down, negative thinking. It's so much easier to think positively, affirmatively. It truly is. It doesn't require the same amount of energy at all to think positively and affirmatively as it does to think negatively. And so that negative train of thought is very aging, very wearying, very, very full of heavy, heavy, heavy energy. And it's not going to help you to feel spry, to feel light, to feel that you can be the great creator and producer of all kinds of wonderful good that you're capable of. So the call today is, for the rest of the day and for this particular week, is to keep focusing on vim and vigor and zest and vitality and youthfulness. And to know, as the scriptures say, let the weak say, I am strong. Let the weak say, I am strong. Let the old say, I am young. It doesn't say that, but it's the same principle. But it does say, let the weak say, I'm strong. You talk to any elderly person, and I don't know what an elderly person is anymore, really. I mean, when I was a kid growing up, you were very old at 50. I can remember friend getting married. She was 29 getting married, and we were 18 and 19. We were in this Sodality Guild, and she was getting married at 29, and we were talking to each other. I was 18, and we said, oh my God, isn't that very old to get married? 29, oh my goodness. She's very old. And see, it's relative. So age is relative. Age is relative, and it has to do with what you're thinking, what you're feeling, and what you're allowing yourself to entertain in your consciousness. And if you want to feel young, then think young thoughts. That's all you have to do. So the affirmation is every day, today I am stronger. Today I am healthier. Today I am younger than ever before. Say it together now. Today I am healthier. Today I am than ever before. And that's going to be our mantra for this week. So when you're dragging, pick up that derriere and say, I'm full of vim and vigor and zest, and spirit by means of me is inexhaustible, and so it is.
invite you to experience Dr. Moira in person on Sundays. Our services are at 9 a.m. and 11 a.m., and childcare is available. Please join us. If you enjoy these messages and would like to make a donation to our center, please visit our website at redondocsl.org. Thank you for your support of this ministry.